Watch more programs like this on cable and stream with PCN Select. Subscribe at PCNTV.com.
Here in front of the Chambersburg Volunteer Fireman Museum, my name's Terry Schaefer. I'm president of the organization. We are housed in an old fire station that used to be the Cumberland Valley Hose Company from 1900 to 1975. We have a collection of historical firefighting apparatus and equipment. So come on inside and we'll show you around. Okay, the first two things you'll see here is the two engines beside me here. One is a 1947 Mack. It was a Cumberland Valley Hose Company piece. It was used up until 1978. Robin egg blue, so it was nicknamed the Blue Goose by the other fire companies here in Chambersburg. You can see some of the hand tools and hose that was used during this era. The engine has not been restored. This is the way it came out of service, and that when they bought new equipment. The second engine is from the Goodwill Steam Fire Engine and Hose Company. It's a 1953 Orne. It has been restored, and it was used up until about 1977. You can see the difference in the pump configuration, the gauges and dowels and that they used. And we often joke with people that, yes, we did have heat and air conditioning. Air conditioning in the winter and heat in the summer since we had no roofs on our apparatus.
Hello, my name is Kevin Henry. I'm Vice President of the Chambersburg Volunteer Firemen's Museum. I'm siting in the 1947 Mack. We'll give you a little bit of information about this. Here we have our clutch and brake and gas and our shifter here. And to get started, we'd have to go through and put everything into the on position. Then we have two starter buttons here that we would do to start the rig. Once we got to the fire scene, we'd put it into neutral, throw a button here for the pump. Our pump panel was on the driver's side. The hose, we would call out which one we were taking, and he would charge that for us to use. We do have hose on either side of the officer side here that we would use. There's axes, there's pike poles that we would use to help tear into the buildings to get stuff taken care of. Okay, as you can see, I'm in the 1953 Orne. A little bit modern upgrade from the 47 Mack. We have our brake, clutch, and gas pedal here. We still have a clutch. It worked basically the same way. We have less of a configuration to get this engine started. We have a Motorola system that the officer would use to call headquarters or answer any other questions from any other piece of equipment coming in. Up here we have spotlights that you would, if you come into the scene and need the lights on, you would switch here, you turn them on, and you can focus them anywhere you needed them. These are just head-on spotlights. We have a rear view mirror, so you can see if there was people standing on the back. The red light, of course. Okay, you will see this is the driver's area for the pumps. Once we got to the pump area and he was set up, he would throttle this up to about 40 RPMs a minute to keep the pressure going. He could tell how much he had up on these two here. When we pulled a hose off the back, he would throw this lever, and each lever has a corresponding area where it would tell him how much water he was flowing. We have one here for the booster panel, which is up, booster line that's up here. This would be your intake for an extra line for water. Another one for different hose size.
The next piece that you'll see is a 1925 American LaFrance. It was used in active duty up until 1947 when they bought the Blue Goose. It has not been restored. It is chain driven. As you can see, the difference in the pumps and the configuration, the nozzle. You notice that the steering wheel is on the right-hand side, as nowadays they're on the left. The huge spotlight in the center, and also the hand crank siren. This piece was last used in 1972 to help pump basements when Hurricane Agnes hit the area. This is the original condition it was when it was pulled out of service. All right, the next piece you'll see is a 1903 LaFrance steamer pulled by horses. The two horses that pulled it were called Pat and Charlie, and that. Interesting fact about a steamer, it only carried enough water to generate the steam so it could pump water. You'll notice here the boiler, the firebox being in the back. When the alarm system would sound, they would light that firebox, and that. The horses would come out from the stables that were kept behind the building. They would back into their respective areas. Harnesses would drop from the ceiling. The firemen would attach them, and off they would go. You can see the pump mechanism here, that once the steam was built up, it would generate the pressure to operate the pumps and that. And you can actually see a picture down here of it, not really in operation, but the firebox and that, and the steam and smoke coming out of the apparatus. It also, the last fire call that it made was in 1938. Central Presbyterian Church here in Chambersburg on our square caught fire. They brought a pickup truck up, hooked it up, and pulled it down and stationed it along the Conagajig Creek and had it up and running. To our knowledge, it was never actually used to help battle the fire, but it was there just in case they needed it. The horses were part of the fire department. I mean, they were friends with the firefighters and that. They each had their own personality. One horse that was named Sam was stationed here. He pulled one of the pieces of apparatus, and when they went motorized, he was sold to a Baltimore dairyman. And while the dairyman was delivering milk, a fire engine happened to go past, and what Sam do? He was trained and raised to answer the alarm. So he took off running, and the milkman found him at the scene of the fire, standing beside the other apparatus. So the horses were very extensively trained. Like I said, the alarm would come in, they'd automatically come out of their stables. They didn't have to be let out. All right, the next piece that we'll show you here is man-pulled. It's an 1850. It was purchased from Philadelphia at $360. It only carried hose. It did not carry anything else. So it had to be hooked up to a hydrant, or they had what they called button pumps that would be a hand-operated pump that they would connect to pump the water through. Its claim to fame was in the burning of Chambersburg in 1864. This helped battle that fire and stopped it from progressing to other parts of the town. But these, like I said, were operated by men. The bell would ring. The firemen would run to the station, find the location of the fire. They would pick the piece of apparatus up, usually 2 to 4 men in front, 2 or 3 on the back would serve as brakes, and they would actually run to the scene of the fire, put the fire out, then clean up, and then have to walk back to the fire station. All right, well, this concludes the tour of the Chambersburg Volunteer Firemen's Museum. We encourage you to come visit us. We're located at 441 Broad Street here in Chambersburg. We're usually open 2 Sundays a month. The hours are always the same, 10 to 2. Check our website as to what actual dates we are open. And if you're not available those dates, you can call 717-263-8660, and we could schedule a private tour, so to speak, on one of our off dates. So again, thank you for coming to visit us.